Within PostHog's default reporting, almost all of these reports would have to be custom SQL. It would be extremely difficult to build really good reporting off of this. So you're just making up whatever type of data array you would like to, but there's nothing default within PostHog that will enable you to have funnel reporting, drop-off reporting, items optimization. Any of those things do not exist inside of PostHog. There's only one product. We don't have multiple products, there's just only one product in this array. And that becomes very problematic within PostHog because you can have events with multiple products. This past week, I've probably spoken to half a dozen people that are running this exact same problem within PostHog. And I just wanted to give you guys the full context of how I would approach good old e-commerce within PostHog as a platform. So let's just talk through the core e-commerce thing. So I don't think PostHog has ever tried to be e-commerce, work with Shopify and things like that. They are mostly geared towards SaaS, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon with their product roadmap. But they do have a Shopify doc on their website, which is one of the biggest e-commerce platforms out there, which drives people to try and do it because, hey, it exists, so might as well do it. But that's not the case. I don't think that you should do it in a lot of cases, and I'm going to show you why I believe that. So here is the classic e-commerce funnel, right? You view something, you add it to your cart, you begin checkout, you purchase, and then you receive some sort of upsell, okay? Everyone's there. PostHog can track events very, very well. They can track a lot of properties and parameters and everything else very, very well. It's very dynamic to however you would like to track things. The problem comes on the other end of reporting because there is this thing that is called items or products, however you would like to call it, within inside of e-commerce that is very, very prevalent. So here you might have items array where you then have the, for example, like this, where you say, hey, name is ID. You might have where it says, hey, ID equals SKU1. And then you could have something where it says the name is widget1 and the price is X. All right. So the price is $19.99, etc. You get the idea. So this is just one item within the actual course of time. So here you could view an item, then you add that item to your cart and it moves over here. You then begin checkout, you then purchase, you then buy upsells. Within PostHog's default reporting, almost all of these reports would have to be custom SQL. It would be extremely difficult to build really good reporting off of this. And you might say, JJ, how do I trust you on this? We work with some of the largest brands in e-commerce. So a part of our Vision Labs, part of our organizations, we have e-commerce strategists that work with data just for e-com companies, ranging from 40 million to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. So we are extremely familiar with Shopify, the entire data layer infrastructure of that. And I'm just gonna let you know, this is a nightmare within PostHog. There is one way I will say that it does work, but we're not talking about that right now. Now let's just hop into the PostHog documentation because it is really straightforward. I want to walk you through it so you just have an idea. There are third-party solutions like PixieHog, which does a good job, but it's doing what you would see right here. Basically, when you go into your Liquid theme file, you're going to add in PostHog. You're then going to enable whatever settings you want, whether that's heat maps, consent, etc. on that. You're going to track conversions off of the pixel, all of that jazz. But the problem is this right here. I will say this right here is the core problem. This right here, they're using the products array, right? So in GA4, as a comparison, it would be an items array. You'll see up here the event that they're using for good old Ian is merch store order submitted. That is not even a name of a standard event. So they've made up their own event names, and we're using a product name with a product and product ID, and there's title and quantity and things that are not prefixed with product. So you're just making up whatever type of data array you would like to. Obviously, there are recommendations and there are tools that will standardize this, but there's nothing default within PostHog that will enable you to have funnel reporting, drop-off reporting, items optimization. Any of those things do not exist inside of PostHog, and it is extremely difficult to build. I've tried to build them. I'll show you how. Here's an example on the front end. So let me just show you this. We're at posthogdemo.com, and you can see if I click on this right here, PostHog Habit Preservation, we have the idea of buying something for one time. If I click on this, right, you can see right down here, here is the example event. So product name, product category, etc. within this. There's only one product. We don't have multiple products. There's just only one product in this array. And that becomes very problematic within PostHog because you can have events with multiple products. And so when you want to ask the question around, hey, how is product X converting? And you want to see product X throughout time, it is very difficult to do so. So let me just show you this as an example here. And you can just hit purchase. And here we are. So right now we've had this click, right? And then you can see that we have, there's the checkout identifier where someone put in an email, and then we have the actual purchase. This is where things start to get complicated, right? Because once you have a transaction, there is a transaction ID, and now you have a transaction level event that might not actually have the array of what everything is that is purchased because you're asking a question about the transaction. So how much was the revenue of this transaction? Here's another great example of this, right? So we have item 1 here, and this is going to be $19.99. We then have item 2, which is $25.99, but we're going to discount it. We're going to actually have a coupon code that is for $5 off. Inside of PostHog, you have to decide how you want to do this. There is no native way that is built to handle or overall will respond when you put data in a certain way. So if this coupon is only off for item 2, what happened when you go to the transaction? All right, should you apply this transaction and there's a coupon for the transaction? Or do you want to have that coupon be tied to the item? And those are the types of things that you're going to have to constantly be making decisions on of where you put this data to future report on it. Hey, if you are not sure about if PostHog is the right tool for you, if you are just struggling with your conversion rates and you're figuring out how to visualize your data, go out and figure out how to contact us. visionlabs.com/contact. Let's hop on a call with one of our team members, see if we're a great fit and can build something together that is hyper useful to the business that you're operating in. It is just a nightmare to orchestrate because there's no default e-commerce reporting within PostHog, and I don't think they will. So now let me show you this. This is our PostHog preservation purchase that we just did. And there's a reason why I chose to do it like this, because we can only ever have one item in a transaction. So right here in the actual event name, there is the name of the item. We have a hedgehog preservation purchase. So this is the name of the item. We've chosen to do it this way. And then we have the purchase. This makes it extremely easy to know what was being bought at what point in time, when, and we can focus on really building analysis around that. We then have a more detailed level of product date. So here's the product name, here's the product category of a one-time purchase. We then have the Stripe customer ID with a Stripe payment intent ID, the actual subtotal, the transaction ID there. All of these things are built without nested arrays. So we've done it this way to make it really easy to understand what's been purchased. We could build a breakdown of product name. So let me show you how I can do that because of the way that we've chosen to put this data in. Again, if you have multiple items that you can purchase, this is not how you would want to do this. So when I come down here to purchase, you can see here, these are the 3 different products that we have. So I could just add a filter for any event that contains the word purchase. These 3 will all show up. So if I just come up here and I want to see all events, and I want to filter to have that contains the word purchase. So this right here will then give us the actual number of purchases that have occurred. And then we could add a breakdown here of the actual event, right? So this breakdown of the metadata of the event name will then give us the breakdown of those actual events. So down here, you can see preservation purchases, and then you can see subscription purchases. That is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is you could put them all within a purchase event. It's just harder to visualize that in general because you're now having to go one layer down all of the time, but you could put them within that array, within that purchase event to then see things over time and roll that. And your breakdown here, instead of this event, would be the name of the product that was in your cart or the name of the product in that array. And the other reporting piece I want to show you this, right, is extremely difficult to see any type of breakdown over time. So if I pull this up and I want to say, hey, I just want to make this into a table. The problem with PostHog here is that you have this event breakdown here. We would want to add more breakdowns, right? So if the event breakdown, maybe we want to have the name of the event, or we want to have the name of the product. We also want to see the number of times, right? This is what I'd want, is I would want the event. I'd also want the name of the product and the events that it has triggered. I don't want to pivot this table the opposite way. It doesn't exist in PostHog to do that. Here is a really great example of this. This is a table, I think Matomo, this looks like a Matomo report. Not 100% sure on that. But we have basic wetsuit, product revenue, quantity, purchases, average purchase, average quantity. We can also add a number of view items, add to carts, number of purchases per product. This would be a nightmare SQL statement with inside of PostHog. It's just extremely difficult to do. This is why I would shy away from using PostHog as your primary analytics tool on a Shopify site. So now you might ask yourself, JJ, when would I actually use this? When would I use PostHog within Shopify? And I would say when you would want to use that is to optimize the actual dashboards that your customers have. If you have a very, very heavily subscription product, if you have a very technical product that you have to update number of quantities or things like that inside of a dashboard that you're trying to build more custom on Shopify's infrastructure, that is when I'd recommend PostHog. You can use things of like, hey, is it better to have big images within our dashboard, or should we create a portal for people to log in and update the things around the customers? Say, for example, that you have a pet app where you're tracking their lizards for somebody. Maybe you want to have an app where they can actually log in and track their lizard's diet over time while you sell lizard food, right? Those are all examples of things where you might want to use this to say, hey, are we trying to optimize this for the outcome of revenue? You're also able to ingest data from Shopify as like a BigQuery table or another type of table. So you'd have all of your revenue in there. The pros and cons of this, right, are the pros is you have all the data. The cons are you still dealing with this item array situation that PostHog is just not great at doing. It's just one of those things that e-commerce is so specific, the D2C community is so specific on how you should look and visualize items and conversion rates of carts and things like that, that it's better used as a product analytics tool behind a login portal. That is how I'd recommend it, unless you're really doing some type of massive trial where you log in, adjust your boxes. Think of box subscriptions or any type of heavily subscription product where the majority of the business is coming from subscriptions. That is the only time I would really recommend and say we should lean into PostHog is when you have those heavily customized front end dashboards that a user and a customer would interact with, and you want to push people to have more consumption of those products. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was not a super deterrent. I know that there's documentation all over the site on how to do this, but I would really like to say that if you know how to do it, it's a powerful tool because PostHog allows you to send unlimited dimensions, unlimited nested arrays, and you can customize it to your will. So if you know what you're doing, it might be the right tool. If you don't know what you're doing, I might recommend something else on the front end for an e-commerce site.